Hey everybody, it's Rick Trummer from Mid-South Color Lab and welcome to the tip of the week. If you remember last week we did a little work with eyeglasses and we were talking about how easy it is in the digital age to be able to do that. This week we're going to talk about how to add a little bit of sparkle into the eyes. And again, outside of going through huge amounts of classes on all this special type of retouching, I just want to show you just a bunch of little quick tips that are going to be able to help you just create better portraits and do all kinds of different things. So that's what this series is all about. So what I did here is I brought in an image that we're going to be able to work on the eyes just a little bit. So let's go ahead and zoom into the eyes. It's always best to make sure that you're uptight and personal with this. And so let's go ahead and take a look at what we have here. So they've made a huge amount of advancements in the new CC program, as you all may know or may not know. But one of the coolest things is the face aware tool, which we're going to be getting into next week. So I want you to come back next week and we'll talk more about the face aware tool. But when we're dealing with the eyes, we like to add a little bit of movement and more dynamicness to those eyes and kind of creating a much cooler range. So what we're going to do is we're going to do some of this using the hue and saturation adjustment layer. So there's a couple ways of doing this. You can either come down here into the actual palette itself and go into new adjustment layer, or if you have the quick button up here and you have that adjustments panel on, you just click into hue and saturation and you'll go right into the actual layer itself. So what we're going to do is we've got everything that's on here is absolutely perfect. We don't want to do anything with this at all. We're just going to leave all these adjustments exactly where they are. But what we're going to do is we're going to switch the blending option on this particular layer. We're going to move it from normal and we're going to go up to screen. So once we're in screen, you notice it goes really, really bright on us. And of course, this is on the whole image. But what we're going to do is we're going to inverse that selection. So we're going to turn the mask off. So right now the mask is on, and now we're going to go to Command or Control I, depending if you're Mac or PC. And we're going to inverse that mask. So currently we have the mask off. And we're going to be taking a look at it. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to grab our brush tool, which is a shortcut for that is the B key, and it'll go straight in. And I'm going to come over here and I'm going to get my hardness down to 0, and I'm going to bring my pixel down to 1. Now, you can also do this using the bracket keys, of course, but sometimes it's better just to go in and kind of show you some different things. I'm going to get a little closer to the eye, and I'm going to do one at a time here. So I've got white in the foreground. I'm just going to stay at 100% right now, and I'm going to come in here, and I'm just going to add from inside out. I'm going to just grab a little bit of lines in here, and I'm just going to move from, again, inside out to the outer edge, and I'm just going to put some lines in here. So let's just add a little bit, few more lines, and we got that. Now we have a nice highlight here that we're going to work on later on, but we're going to do one eye at a time when we do this. So the first thing we're going to do is, you can see this is really, really sharp and very, very precise. So from here then, we're going to go under the filter, and let's actually do a selection of this first so that we don't do it on the whole thing. So we're going to come over with the Marquee Tool, and we're just going to grab that selection. Now we're going to come under Filter, and we're going to go to Blur, and we're going to go to Gaussian Blur. And now we can change the radius of that blur. So we can go more or less. So you can see here it's all the way on. What we're going to do is bring this down. Let's go down a little bit more. Right there. So we're getting a little bit of blur on there. You can use your up and down bracket keys or up and down keys to be able to go back and forth. And let's just kind of go right in to this. So we're adding a little bit of blur there, and then we're going to click OK. Now we can deselect by doing Command or Control D. That'll deselect the selection. So you can see we got a little bit of highlight now going in the eyes. Now we're going to do this second eye. So we'll just come in here. Let me get off the Marquee Tool there and get back onto the brush. And we're going to put in our lines again. Now we're going to do these separate because you may have this particular image. We've got, it's all close and they're all, she's right looking into me. But on occasion, you may have an image that maybe the eye is slightly to the right or to the left and it's not as deep. So you're going to want a different value inside there. So again, I'm going to grab the Marquee Tool. A shortcut of that, of course, is M. And then we're going to select that area and we're going to filter and we're going to go back to the Gaussian blur to bring this down. Now in here, I'm going to bring this up one more point. So I'm going to go just a little bit down. I'm going to click OK again, deselect. And now I'm adding a little bit of sparkle and dynamicness in the eye. So let's now go back. I'm going to zoom back out, take a look at it from here. And you may go, I don't have quite enough there. That's okay. Go ahead and do a Command or Control J, and that will amplify the actual look. Sometimes when you're in close, you don't see as much of the effect, or you think you're going too far. So we can always add another duplication of that layer to be able to add a little bit more sparkle there. And so now let's take a look at that second one that we put on. That looks really, really nice. And we've added a lot of dynamic shape and some beautiful highlights into the eyes. I would always put these two together. So I'm going to do a shift and I'm going to click on the second layer and put them in their own group. And I'm just going to call this eye highlights. Let's call it eye highlights. Now we've got them all in one. We got them in one particular folder so we know exactly where they are. And that's adding a little bit of beauty to that eye and giving it a little bit more of dynamic punch and shape. So that's the tip of the week. Next week, we're going to be coming into and continue on maybe some retouching techniques. We're kind of moving in the eye direction at this point because we worked on, we had that really cool video last week on replacing the eyes in those eyeglasses. And now this week we're working on a little dynamic shape of the eyes. Next week we're going to be talking about using, as promised, that content or that liquify tool and the face aware tool. So until next week, I'm Rick Trummer from Mid-South Color Lab. Welcome to this week's tip of the week, and we'll see you next week.